Mr. Ellis, you and your brother have brought your mother to court today because you say you've always believed the man in this photograph is your father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Then, just recently, you learned that your biological father may actually be your father's brother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mrs. Shivers, you confessed that you slept with both your ex-husband and his brother.
Yes, Your Honor.
You admit you kept that secret from your sons throughout their lives.
Yes, I did, Your
Now you
Honor.
say you're seeking DNA results to discover the truth and beg for their forgiveness.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Ellis, how did you find out your mother slept with your uncle and he may be your father?
Well, yes, Your Honor. We were at a family gathering, you know, just having some drinks or whatever, and Uncle Ronnie came up to me and said, "You know, I'm your son. You know, you my son, right? You know, so."
Yeah, it was basically like a family get-together. It was a family function. You know how people get when they, you know, indulge or whatnot. I guess he, you know, he overindulged and the truth came to light, you know, so he approached my brother.
It's not the truth.
Well,
Believe whatever you want to believe.
okay, we're leaving the door open. Believe what you want to believe.
It up.
Assume what you want to assume.
Yeah.
He assumes Ronnie's his dad.
And what about you?
That's my dad on the screen right there, John Ellis. He got to be my dad.
So, Miss Shivers,
Yes.
you admit you slept with both brothers.
Yes, Your Honor, I did. I had no choice. I had nowhere to go. And I ended up at Mama Mildred's house where Ronnie lived. I lived there as well. We got intoxicated. We had a one-time thing, and that was it, which was a big mistake, Your Honor. But, you know,
I mean, things happen.
I had nowhere to lay my head, and we grew up together. We're best friends. I did what I had to do to keep a roof over the head for this one, for Eugene.
You know what? My mom did everything in her power and her will and everything to take care of us. I'm not here to crucify my mom or nothing like that, or, you know, it ain't nothing like that. We just want to know what's going on. You know, my brother feels a certain way about something, so we here to address that. We feel like he may have a different father. That's how I feel. I feel like because my dad did, like, you know, you could tell he kind of treated him different from me.
Even you saw that and felt that.
I seen this growing up. Yes, I did. He want to know where he come from, who he is.
Yeah.
He didn't even write me that much when I was in jail, but he wrote him, you know, send him money, you know, so that made me feel some type of way as well, you know.
Unfortunately, we had to take a trip down the road, and my dad, my father, he wrote me more than he did my brother, you know what I'm saying? And you don't do that if that's your child, you know, you're supposed to be there through thick and thin like my mom, you know. I heard from her every day of, you know, that place or that situation, but when we were in that situation, he didn't reach out to my brother at all, not really like at all. So I understand.
And Ronnie's always been there, right?
Yeah, and Ronnie's always been
there
the
no
one.
matter what. He introduced me to his brother. I didn't even know he had a bigger brother.
So you are pretty confident who your father is.
Yes.
The question really revolves around your brother.
Yes, I'm positive John Ellis is my father. But if you look at me, and you look at my dad, I mean, if you had a full body shot of my dad, I'm slim like my dad. I'm built like my dad. My features like my dad. Arthur is big. He's a big guy right here. Uncle Ronnie is big. That's a big guy right there. You know, they broad. I'm skinny. I'm slim, you know.
Well,
his hair is different from my hair. I mean, if we got the same dad, okay, wouldn't you think that his texture of his hair would come out the same as mine? Because I got...
Not necessarily.
Well, Your Honor, I was married to another man before I left and went to Detroit, and that's when I got pregnant with Eugene, so...
Do you feel there are reasonable, credible doubts as it relates to Eugene as well?
Yes, Your Honor, maybe so.
What?
Well, you want to hear it? I'm going to tell you.
You ain't never said that before.
Well,
and I asked you who's my dad.
John Ellis.
You said John Ellis. So now it's a possibility somebody else might be my dad.
Well, you got tested, son. We're going to bring it out. We'll bring it all out. I'm telling the truth, so let's bring it on out. Whatever my babies want to know, I'll let you know.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So you're saying, Eugene, you had absolutely no idea until
not
this
even a
very
possibility
moment?
until right now. Not even a possibility somebody else could be my father.
Ms. Shivers, I want to make sure we're clear. You're now stating that you had been in a relationship before you got to Detroit, so you were in a relationship with both men in close proximity, and therefore there could be a doubt as it relates to Eugene's paternity as well.
Okay, they were basically trading me off. You don't trade off people like that. I was just used. I was shifted from one man to another man. So I had a hard life. I had to struggle. And any kind of way it meant for me to stay alive, I stayed alive.
Well, yeah, Judge, my Uncle Ronnie, he's called me on my birthday, and he said, I don't know who I'm talking to, my son, you know, or my nephew, one of you, happy birthday, you know, so, you know.
And that's the way he said happy birthday?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm talking to my son or my nephew, but happy birthday.
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jerome, I think we need to meet Uncle Ronnie or Father Ronnie.
Uncle
He
Dad.
called him Uncle Daddy.
He calls him Uncle Daddy.
That's
I call Uncle Dad.
his Uncle
My
Daddy.
goodness. If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell.
Right up on the chair next to the judge on the bench. What's your step going up the steps?
Hello, sir. Please be seated. Mr. McClellan, thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we are here with Eugene and Arthur talking about the issues surrounding their paternity. And we're also here hearing testimony from Ms. Shivers that she's trying to make sense of all of the confusion. She said she slept with you and your brother. And now you may potentially be Arthur's father. Do you agree with this? Is this your understanding that you could potentially be this young man's biological father?
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Please take me back. How did you come to know or realize that this young man could be your biological child?
My brother had put her and Eugene out, and they came back to Chicago and lived with me. And while they were living with me, she said we only had sex once. She must have meant we only had sex once sober. You hear me? That's what she must have meant, you know? Because she can't even remember the first time, you know?
But you remember.
Oh, boy. Really?
No more details needed.
Okay.
So the period window of conception, it was during the time you were in Chicago with Mr. McClellan.
Yes.
Right.
Understood.
Yes.
But
And
Judge, John Ellis is on my birth certificate. So,
He is.
yeah. Yes.
You have a copy of that birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see that, please. So, Mr. McClellan, we're looking at Arthur's birth certificate. John Ellis is listed as father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, we understand John Ellis is a possible father, and
Yes,
he's also
Your Honor.
listed on his birth certificate
Yes.
because you say he demanded so when he came to the hospital.
Yes.
His brother, Mr. McClellan, is also a possible father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Are there any other, and I must ask you this respectfully, are there any other possible fathers?
Yes, Your Honor. Cool Breeze. I met him when I was waitressing in the restaurant, and he ran a big hotel. And he also, you know, gave me jobs and stuff. That's when Eugene was like about 4 or 5. We had a couple of little nights, you know, where we had a few drinks and we did
That was
have
your sugar daddy.
intimacy. He died, you know, it might be a possibility because when I was staying at Mama Mildred's with Ronnie and everybody, I went and supplied food and did whatever, right, Ronnie? Bought everything for the house, Mama Mildred's medicine, all of that. He was the one who hired me. He was giving me the jobs. So we
Cool
did have
Breeze
yes,
was.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, I've never heard this story about Cool Breeze possibly being Arthur's dad. I never heard that.
I can see there's just been so much history and just herd after herd and then confusion after confusion and secrecy after secrecy, and your mother's openly saying, I was in a different space and time and trying to stay alive. I'm dating these older men. I'm this young woman. There's so much going on. But as the story continues to unfold, there are more potential fathers.
Yes, Your Honor, there
So
is.
now, as you say, with Eugene, potentially there could be another man that could be his father. And now with Arthur, we have 3 potential fathers: Cool Breeze, Mr. McClellan, and John Ellis.
Yes, and that's his given name, Cool Breeze, Melvin Cool Breeze.
Yeah, but Cool Breeze
I had
was
a lot
blacker
of
than
friends,
night.
Your Honor. It wasn't like I
Cool
was
Breeze
out there
short,
just
and he was
tramping.
blacker than night. It ain't if that was his dad, he'd come out a little darker. That
Well,
Cool
we
Breeze,
saw in a case
necessarily.
earlier today, that's not the
No.
case. Am I right, Jerome?
You're correct.
The
Children come in
generation.
all shapes, sizes, and colors. Ultimately, what brings us here today is a paternity issue.
Yes.
Many paternity issues.
Yes, Your Honors. That's why I want
Jerome?
these babies to say whatever they need to say.
I need us to have the same dad.
Well, they're going to show you guys got the same father.
You say you need you and your brother to have the same
Yep.
dad. I see you're emotional. What are you feeling? You say you
Because
need
we
that.
gotta have the same dad.
Well, it's emotional to both of us. We got into it, last night over it, but we just here to find out our identity.
so they can go on
And so
have a life.
this not
Regardless.
knowing, this confusion is making issue with you as brothers.
Everything was based on a whole bunch of lies, And what we thought was the truth of what we were told and grew up thinking, come to find out, it ain't,
Because I try to protect them with the little white lie here and there. You don't understand, Eugene.
want the truth.
Back in the 70s, it was a
wanna
nightmare to
know.
go through, son.
Regardless of whatever, I just want you to know, Mom, I'm proud to be a half-breed man. You hear me? I'm proud.
Thank you, son.
I love it. I wouldn't be black. I wouldn't be white. I'd be exactly what I am today, and I love it. My kids is bright just like me, and I love it. I wouldn't have it no other way. I love you.
That's
and
why your
regardless what
middle
happened
name-
and what happened right here today, you was our dad, and you are our dad. So this don't mean nothing.
Arthur, honey, love you.
Love you too, Mom.
Love you. And you boys better get it together. Hug each other. No more of this nonsense. Don't hurt yourselves. Very hard, Your Honor. I'm still, like they're 5 years old, I'm still guiding all my children. All of them, except the oldest.
We don't want you two fighting. We don't want you two arguing over this, regardless of what the results.
He was kind of saying some things about my father that I didn't like, Since we've had this revelation or whatnot, he ain't been talking too kindly about my dad, and I don't like that,
Okay, well, don't get worked back up in the courtroom, because we
No.
don't want. We want you all to remember at all times that regardless of what these results are, this is your mother, you are brothers,
Yes, ma'am.
and you should love each other as such. Are you ready for the results?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Oh.
right. We're going to go to the results for Eugene first. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows.
That's my dad.
You learned in this courtroom for the first time that your mother said John Ellis may not be your biological father.
That's my daddy.
Here are the results. In the case of Eugene Ellis v. Shivers, McClellan, pertaining to whether John Ellis is your biological father, it has been determined by this court John Ellis is your father.
I knew that. I said that from the beginning. I knew that. Look at me. Look at him.
Hey, okay.
I have the results for Arthur as well. Are you ready?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. In the case of Arthur Ellis v. Shivers, McClellan, pertaining to whether John Ellis or his brother Ronald McClellan is your biological father, it has been determined by this court John Ellis. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. In the case of Arthur Ellis v. Shivers, McClellan, pertaining to whether John Ellis or his brother Ronald McClellan is your biological father, it has been determined by this court. John Ellis is your father.
I know what I did.
Oh, man. Hey,
I would get Ellis.
I needed that. I needed that. I needed that. I needed that. You hear me?
I was getting ready to go to Puerto Rico.
Told you.
You hear me? I needed that.
I know, that's why I'm here.
Sorry, Mom.
It's all right. I told you boys the truth. I told you boys. I told you the truth.
Ms. Graham, you are here to prove to your on-again, off-again fiancé, Mr. Scott, that your 4-year-old daughter, Taylor, is his biological child. You say his paternity denial is destroying your relationship and you need today's results to save your family. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Scott, you state that the timeline for conception does not add up, so you can't be Taylor's father. You say your engagement is on the line and you want the truth. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Graham, you say you need today's results to save your relationship. Tell the court why.
Basically, we're planning a wedding and we're getting in arguments every day about the paternity. He knows he's the father. He's knew since I've told him several times that he's the father and he still tries to deny it. And I just want this resolved today.
Mr.
Your
Scott?
Honor, I am not the father. Look at her nose, look at her eyes, look at her ears. I am not the father. Your Honor, I asked her for a test over and over again.
Okay, but take me back. How did we get to the point where, okay, will you marry me? Yes, I will. But we need a DNA test. I mean, how do we get from being engaged and being happy, planning a wedding, to all of a sudden this DNA thing looming over our heads?
Because I want to move on with it, but not if Taylor Rose is not my daughter. I don't want to move on
So if
with
Taylor's not your biological child, you're not getting married?
Hell no. Excuse me.
Oh,
That's news to you.
that's definitely news to me.
So, Ms. Graham, you admit this is an on-again, off-again relationship.
Yes.
When you're off, were there other men you were sleeping with,
Yes.
dating?
No.
Yes.
Me and him have had sex constantly unprotected through these times
Your
where
Honor,
we were
that's
not
a lie.
together. That
So even if you're on or if you're off, you're still having
we have a
sex.
very active sex life. Very active.
What happened during this on-off thing that produced this paternity question?
It was him. I know the night that I conceived. I definitely know the night I conceived. We went down to Orlando. We got a room. We had sex for about a week, nonstop. He knows exactly which weekend I'm talking about.
Your Honor, that's a lie.
It's like after I got pregnant, like I said, he just flipped
That's not
the
true,
script.
Your Honor.
Were you engaged during then?
Yeah, no, we were engaged before then.
All right, so you engaged before then.
Yes, once I told him I was pregnant, that's when the issues came up.
But why if you gonna marry her anyway?
Right.
Your Honor, I found out that she was
Responsibilities.
pregnant prior to her telling me. The reason how I found out was when I went back into the house, I was searching through paperwork, cleaning up, and when I cleaned up, I saw something from the doctor's office and it said that she was like 6 weeks pregnant. And we only been back together for like 2 weeks. So how is it possible that Taylor Rose is my daughter?
Okay, so now I understand what's happening. You all were on this on and off again thing.
Yes.
When you got back together, you at home, some mail comes, you see it on the table, you read it, and you see, oh, she's pregnant.
Right.
But 6 to 7 weeks pregnant.
Right.
When you count back, you're saying we were off then and
Right.
not having sex
We
then.
was way off then, Your Honor, way off.
So when you saw it, what did you do with the information?
I didn't say anything to her about the paperwork until she approached me about being pregnant.
So what happened when you approached him, Ms. Graham? What did you say?
I approached him because this was like my first time being pregnant. This is my first child. So of course I was a little scared. I didn't know what my options were. So after I told him, I'm expecting him to be excited. And he just, oh, that's not my child. Like, it was just like a big mess. The one person in the world who I was expecting to embrace this turned into my enemy. I had to do this completely alone. And I mean, like, no mother, no woman should have to do that. He completely left me, no support at all. He added so much stress to my pregnancy, so much unnecessary stress.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Did you break up during the pregnancy?
We just separated before the pregnancy. We got back together. We were always on and off again, so the timeline is a little sketchy, but we did break up several times, but the bottom line is we never stopped having sex throughout this entire thing.
Your Honor, ask her this. If I'm the father of Taylor Rose, why did I find that paperwork that says 6 weeks?
Well, that is an issue that he's having, and I'd like to give you a chance to explain that, Ms. Graham. He says when he found the paperwork, he found it before you even said anything to him. So you obviously waited some time before you even told him you were pregnant.
I did.
And his point is if the hospital has informed you you're pregnant and we are engaged and going to be married, what reason would you have not to tell me if it is undoubtedly my child?
I just wanted to have time. I had just graduated. I just wanted to have time for myself to see what my options were before I had him, down my throat, do this, do this, do this. So once I did make the decision to keep the child, I brought it to him. I was very afraid. Like I said, I just had graduated. My life is just beginning to take off. I did not know if I wanted to take on the stress or hardship of being a parent at that time.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Mr. Scott is saying that during the window of time when this baby would have been conceived, you all were on the out. Just because you were still having sex with him doesn't, of course, change the fact that you could have been having sex with somebody else. Was there someone else that you were dating or seeing?
Not before I was pregnant, no.
But after you were pregnant, there was?
Yes.
So who were you with when you gave birth to Taylor?
He came up to the hospital. He caused a dramatic scene.
What happened at the hospital?
He cursed me out. He said how he was never going to sign that birth certificate because my daughter wasn't a twin. He knew that the child was not his. I'm a cheating.
At the hospital when you just had the baby?
I just had my child.
That's not 100% true.
The security had to remove him.
No, I left on my own, Your Honor.
So wait a minute, Mr. Scott, you went up, you looked at the baby and just got infuriated and enraged?
I did, Your Honor.
Basically.
What I'm trying to understand is that were you there for the actual birth as like, this is my child? So you weren't. You came up there after.
After, and I honestly feel like even though he tried to deny this, I really feel like he came up there.
She didn't even call and tell me that she was in the hospital and had the baby.
I didn't want that stress.
I had to find out from someone else.
I did not want that stress, and I was right.
What stress?
I was right. He came up there and he did every single thing that I knew he was going to do, which is why I did not call him. I didn't tell him at all.
Your Honor, she did call me and she said, "You are not the father." That's her exact word.
I did not know.
When was this? Did you call him and tell him he's not the father?
No, that's not.
And that's why I came to the hospital angry.
When did she call and tell you you were not the father?
It might have been a day after she had Taylor, and that's the day that I went there that security supposedly escorted me off.
Did you tell him, Ms. Graham, he was not the father?
No, not at all, Your Honor.
She did, Your Honor.
So when she told you you're not the father, you came up there anyway?
Right.
Why?
She even told the people at the desk not to let me back if I was to come up there.
Well, she's admitting to that because you said what? You didn't want the stress.
Yes.
So if that's my daughter, why can't I come to the hospital?
Because you
I'm not the father, Your Honor.
It's your testimony, Mr. Scott, that Ms. Graham has said to you in your face, you are not the father.
Yes, plenty of times.
Plenty of times.
Yes, plenty of times.
Do you have any evidence to show this? Any evidence of your doubt?
Yes, I was paying daycare. This one particular day, her mom could not pick up Taylor, so she called and said, hey, could you go get Taylor? And I was like, sure. So I goes and I get Taylor, and as I went to pay daycare that particular day, and the daycare lady was like, hold up, her dad already paid daycare for this week. And I was like, her dad?
Ms. Graham, who paid the daycare?
First of all, he paid the daycare this one time that he's referring to.
That's not true.
There was, as I told you, when I was pregnant, I did start seeing someone shortly, and he did pay the daycare several times. He came this one time when...
This guy was introduced as Taylor's father to the daycare.
The daycare provider didn't know who the father was.
No, the whole point is who's the daddy that paid the daycare?
Thank you, Your
That's
Honor.
what I'm trying to
Thank you,
Who
Your
is
Honor.
this
Your Honor.
person?
When he does, it's my ex. When he does not...
So it is your ex?
Yes. When he does not step up, he does come in and do things that I need.
But wait, is there any possibility that this ex could be Taylor's biological father?
Yes. See, she questioning herself. Look, why are you contradicting yourself?
I'm not contradicting. Do you know what contradiction
Well, you
means?
hesitated to answer the question.
I'm not contradicting myself at all.
Ms. Graham, is there any possibility? I mean, the fact that you're pregnant and you all of a sudden hook back up with an ex right after you get pregnant, I mean, it is very easy to believe that you could have hooked up with that ex before you got pregnant. And that small lapse in time could make a paternity question. I mean, if a woman is pregnant with your child and it's his child, you all get in an argument, you break up, and the next thing you know, you already off with an ex. I mean, that doesn't seem like what a pregnant woman would do. How did this ex just reappear all of a sudden?
He was always there.
He was not always there. We met. I was very stressed out. He reached out to me, and I did, vent to him about a lot of stuff I was going on.
I'm
sorry, about a lot of stuff that was
going on with Mr. Scott.
Right.
So he was kind of your shoulder to cry on, which led to...
Right, and he was there, and he did stay there after the child was born. And, he continued to help me with her when my fiancé did not.
That's not true.
So Taylor's 4 now.
Do you want to know why this has been 4 years? Because he knows that this child is his, and he knows after today, he will not have an excuse to just run out of the house whenever he wants to.
Your Honor, twins run in my family. Taylor Rose is not a twin.
Well, every child born in a family that has twins won't be a twin.
Well, I know my sister didn't have any twins. I know I will be the one to have twins. Taylor Rose is not my child.
Where are you getting this information from, Mr. Scott?
It's what I know.
How do you know it?
From my family history. I know.
Oh, you have a family history that what? Every generation has a twin?
Yes.
Have you checked that against biology?
To be honest, I haven't.
That would be a no.
But I'm
Okay, it's all right. The fact that Taylor is not a twin does not preclude her from being your biological child.
Well, Your Honor, Miss Lake, you are not going to make Taylor my child. My fiancé is not going to make Taylor my child. I want the test results.
Bless your heart. I love how you tried to get a little backbone. But let me tell you something. The truth is you made this mess. So I'm not trying to make Taylor be yours. That serves me no purpose. What I'm trying to make sure is that you understand how you got here. Because that mess y'all made.
Her mess.
I'm just here to help you all sort it
So
out.
childish.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Ms. Graham, the timeline that you talk about with this one ex, it does concern me. The fact that this man so wholeheartedly steps up, pays daycare, stands in the gaps whenever Mr. Scott isn't around. Up at the place, her daddy already paid this. I mean, I've known some nice men in my life. I see nice men in this courtroom all the time. But that looks like a man that's trying to do something for a baby that he might think might be his.
No, that's a man waiting for him to mess up so I could leave and get with him.
Okay, and that could be true too.
Well, he can have you.
Don't do that.
Because I'm not the father.
At the end of the day, this is about Taylor. I have the results for you, and I want to give them to you because I want to figure out in a healthy way, in a positive way, where we go from here. Jerome, may I have the envelope, please?
Could I say something?
No. These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as
You
follows.
are not the father.
In the case of Graham versus Scott, when it comes to 4-year-old Taylor Graham, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Scott, you are not the father.
Thank you, Your Honor. I already knew I wasn't.
Jerome, can you go see if you can try to get Miss Graham?
Could I speak with her for a moment?
No, just let her have a minute. Let her have a minute.
Yes, ma'am.
You ain't got to get all silly.
Yes, ma'am.
If you know something in your heart and that's what you truly feel, you stand respectfully as a man, you just get the result. Miss Graham?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, obviously, the part of this story wasn't true.
There were some details that were not. But in a way, Your Honor, I'm from the bottom of my heart happy that I really don't have to pull up with this foolishness.
Your Honor, I still look at Taylor as my child, and I still want to be in her life, but not in Renata's life.
You don't have to be, because you're not her biological father. And so at this point, you need to reach out to the person you believe is.
That's it.
Is that
No.
your ex?
Oh, please don't do that.
Miss Graham, is that your ex?
It is.
Okay, so we could see that coming a mile away. And you need to reach out to him if he needs confirmation this court is here for you. But at this point, you need to figure out how you're going to be the kind of woman you want Taylor to look up to.
Right.